much respect for Elkanon as a bottom lane. And he really showed up and proved himself against kind of his heroes or players that he looks up to in that series. So I'm really looking forward to the part 2 to this and kind of the follow-up.
And I mean, Betty will also be very familiar with them, right? Played on RNG, Rogue Warriors, back when Elk was still Jomung. So there's a lot of history both in the LPL, now at the international stage as well. And I think having this Ezreal at least gives him a chance to try and arcane shift out of this bullet cyclone of weirding that's going to be coming his way on BLG side. So he can have a major performance coming into this game if he's able to keep himself safe.
Kind of a bullet hell experience for both the AD carries in this game. For BLG, currently sitting at 1 and 2, performing well below expectations so far at Worlds 2024. PSG looking to add another name to the list of teams they have defeated over the years. BLG, well, PSG were very close to doing it against BLG at MSI. Can they go one step better here? Best of 3 for a spot in Paris, for a spot in the quarterfinals as we go on to the Rift for the 3rd time today.
So much goes along with this series as well, with the interview and Maple kind of referencing that this might be his retirement year. Such a legendary player on the international stage, and he's been given the pick of the tournament. That pick of the tournament, Yone, of course, was not free. It would come at the cost of giving over Knight's Aurora, but definitely will be looking at Maple, especially with the support of a Sejuani jungle at his back, to make some big plays.
We'll be looking at the mid lane, but you guys need to remember to look and log into your Riot account at lollysports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. Get yourself all those little trinkets, all those little toys. I know I'm a bit of a completionist myself. If I see something shiny on the ground, got to pick it up.
I've never met more of a grinder than you. The second you have something
man,
in your sights.
My Diablo 4 character already like Paragon 200. It's fine.
Oh shit.
Validate me.
No, look, this is actually an intervention.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I didn't realize. I was saying. BLG setting up down towards the bottom side. Did look for a moment like they might lane swap, but instead they were just trying to get bush control in the top side. Often we do see a ward placed when you do this. I think Knight may have placed his ward in that bush. Actually, he's gone over towards the Razor Beak. So what you often want to do is, if you're playing melee into ranged, is you want to try and get a ward into one of the bushes to make it harder for the range to drop minion aggro in that top lane. And it looks like Azure should be able to continually harass there as Bin and him trade towards the top side.
I think he should be relatively okay as Bin still to get pushed, just thanks to that Counter-Strike. It works out very well. We saw it from BB on the opposite side in the last game, where even with the Nari, he couldn't really do too much. So Bin going to be fine, and okay, Woody not quite been able to get the crash down there, but with the push on top and also slowly starting to come through, I'd imagine, in mid lane as well, I think you're going to be fine as Shun to move up towards this top side and contest for Scuttle, which is really where you want to be, is this Wukong, because hitting level 6, getting out onto the map as quick as possible with that ultimate is so crucial to this success.
Yeah, one of the things that we saw actually a decent amount more, I feel like, from BLG when they actually put Wei in instead of Shun was more attention towards Bin and topside, and he is on his legendary Jax. But of course, with both of those junglers sharing scrims with the team and playing this whole time, very could be eaten up by Shun. Wukong, notoriously looking for the level 6 though, so you would generally, just on paper, give the early ganks a bit more potency on the side of the Sejuani until the level 6 comes in, and the Wukong a bit more scaling and damage threat, of course.
And that was the thing on the opposite side when we saw Shun coming in. He kind of put a lot of focus on towards that bottom side for a lot of their games, especially when you look at like their series against LNG and that. So I think for BLG, it's going to be a case of trying to see if they can have that access to the bottom side. I don't think they can really get Woody, as Woody's, or sorry, Betty, I should say, because Betty has that arcane shift, but Woody will be way more vulnerable to that sort of gank, especially with the lockup that On could provide. So I think BLG more going to be looking towards, say, the level 6 with those potential ganks, but also Void Grubs as they start to come through that second round.
See Jun kind of pathing down towards that bottom side to get the Scuttle Crab. Junja has taken control over the top side. Bin had to TP back as he was harassed by Azure. Not too much surprising in this early game. The MF managing to get push into a Ezreal lane. It's kind of to be expected. She has a lot of damage in the early game, and obviously more if she gets towards that Bloodthirster too.
Yeah, definitely a fearsome lane there with the Leona. Of course, worth noting that the Leona there on is taking the exhaust for the Kennen later on into the game, but also serves its purpose in those all-ins if our junglers do find themselves, ganking the bottom lane and trying to play off that wave management. Definitely does kind of put a stop to some of those very, very heavy all-ins.
Just keep my eyes on what Shun is up to, because, oh, hang on, Bin.
Bin gets the counter-strike. Can look for the Empower in a couple of seconds as well. Azure deciding he has to flash away. Doesn't want to be hit with the lamppost from Bin.
That's pretty crucial, though, because you like having those solo laners hit 6 just in time for like Void Grub fights or anything like that. So not having that, not having that flash available for that combo is going to be a bit sad.
Flash in onto On here. Doesn't have the exhaust and a flash of his own. Zenith plays onto Junja to try and get himself away. Exhaust on the Sejuani, not the target you want. Jun trying to join the fray. Elk having to cleanse flash away as Jun is now caught with a Shadowing Strike, and PSG find first blood in the bot lane and will force Shun away.
Nice job by Woody to get the crash down on towards On, trying to base in PSG, hoping that Shun would be in position, but Junja's already there, and the value at this early stage for the Sejuani getting multiple CC chains off is just perfect for PSG.
Yeah, the timing was so nice too, with Junjia heading down, finish up the Gromp, and the flash from Woody. He has had so many set up plays for some of the biggest moments for PSG. The first blood acquired for PSG, and in the area that they want it, yeah, the Sejuani is the one to actually get the final hit, because On did a pretty good job of trying to use Junjia as an exit, but still very happy to actually cash in, and very nice gold lead for PSG in the opener.
And a lot of that control that PSG got in their series against BLG at MSI was through that bottom lane. So starting to see a repeat performance is Knight in trouble.
Fate Seal going in. Knight's going to be able to jump away, can use the Between Worlds to dash out, but that's an ultimate for ultimate exchange in the mid lane.
You'll take that though as PSG, because Knight way less threatening with that ultimate down at these early stages. Also the fact that you get mid push means you get to move over straight away towards these Void Grubs. And look at Shun, he's not even close to that level 6 and Bin in the same boat. So he's a little bit off, has to finish out this wave, which means BLG not really in a position to contest.
Yeah, for sure. PSG just going to be able to get these Void Grubs no problem. And if you look at the domino effect of some of those plays, guess what a mid-prio for Yone could turn into? It's more ganks on bottom side. Junjia could go down back bottom side, as well as possible Maple Room. So there are a lot of good things building up towards consecutive plays, since not only On used summoner spells in the bottom side, but it was also Elk in their attempts to evade.
Also just putting Knight on edge a little bit, right? Making him burn his ultimate is so important, because Knight has so consistently been a stalwart of the LPL. I think if people only follow International League of Legends, they won't really see Knight as this dominant character. But he's a 5-time LPL champion, tied first in LPL championships. He's been at Worlds 4 times, and although the furthest he's ever made is semi-finals, he's widely regarded as one of, if not the best mid laner in the world, depending on the time of year.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the best mid laner in the LPL and is the kingmaker in the LPL. He's been in the last 6 LPL finals. He has won 4 in the last finals, and is now starting to tie people for most LPL titles with the likes of Xiaohu and these guys. Like, adding a Worlds title to this guy just makes him the most decorated LPL player of all time.
And it feels like such a weird thing to talk about when they're 1,000 goal behind PSG in the 1-2 matches, right? Because this is not where BLG expected to be. It's kind of where PSG expected to be, as Betty should be able to go away here. The Zenith Blade going in. Betty trying to trade back onto Elk. On went in with the Zenith Blade himself. Doesn't have the exhaust up. Now he's taking the Magna Storm coming out as well. And what is On doing? Looking for the engage, thinking Shun would back him up, but he was left to his own devices. And in the end, he's left to his demise.
Well, the thing is, one of the players that has been involved in some of these Worlds winning rosters was Junja, and he's keeping it going.
Goes in with the Glacial Prism. The cleanse was available for Elk, and he holds it. The bullet time opens up. Shun going in with the Cyclone, looking to make a Tempest. He'll take one. Junja falls. Woody trying to get the CC onto Shun to keep Betty alive. Shun holds it and dies in the end, trying to flash away, but Betty puts him in the dirt.
And PSG, the reason they keep forcing on this bottom side is because all the setup work that they had done, all of these extra advantages going into it. So even though Shun is there to cover on the first attempt, and it actually takes the second attempt for them to finally get a counter kill, it is still so much more worth for PSG, because they blew all the bot lane summoners first time around, and then as you can see, Junjia can just kind of walk right by Shun, and they punish On again. He was still only level 4 to Woody's 6. Like, massive, massive difference there. There's no way you can ever fight the even numbers, and it's just by the skin of their teeth. Like, what HP was that, like 30 maybe left on Elk? That it didn't even go catastrophically wrong for BLG. So while in the end you're kind of like celebrating Shun got one counter kill at least, it is still so overwhelmingly into the game plan of PSG for them to continue to play around here. And we'll see if there are extra knock-on effects if you know, Maple becomes unleashed as well.
Well, the thing is, the knock-on effect is Aj just had a free lane to himself, and he's been doing a great job against Bin. You can see a 600 gold lead opening up thanks to CS and the turret plates he's been able to get. And now, when you start to look at things like Dragons that are still up and available, the Void Grubs in a minute's time, Aja is in prime position to be an outright carry for PSG Talon. BLG need to find some way back into this game, or PSG Talon can just run away with this.
Just look at the bottom of the screen. It's like a good library. Red, 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 red. You know, it's so strong for PSG right now. Gold leads in every single lane. BLG trying to get mid control so they can fight over this Scuttle Crab and the Grubs that are coming up in 40 seconds time. But PSG are using the time to take a Drake for themselves. They know they can then go across and even try to catch Knight out, who'll get the Blast Cone, but Ginger's going to follow him across. Knight still has the flash, has the ult, has the dash with the weirding. Caught out with the Glacial Prison. True Shot Barrage coming out as well, and Knight now has to invest that Summoner to escape the clutches of Ginger.
So much damage could have been ruined. That's a key summoner spell again. They still have 3 people on bottom side. You see Leona coming to hover, but Knight just has to stand and watch. Look at all these minions dying to the tower. He's waiting for On to come escort him into safety, but another very smart play here from PSG to cut off more resources from the hands of BLG. So many minions dying.
And Funnel Betty, who has just been such a monumental carry for this PSG roster as well. Like, after he left the LPL and came in towards the PCS, this guy was an absolute beast, and he's only continued to show up for this roster. Now that he's on 2-0, he's going to have this triangle completed off of the 3 set as well. He's in prime position to stay out of his mind to try and carry PSG across the line. Plus, again, you don't have a huge amount of lockup that can really keep him in check. He has the cleanse for anything that On has, then has the arcane shift and a flash for so much of what BLG are trying to bring to the table.
Exactly. One of the few AD carries that doesn't completely pull out their hair and scream that an Aurora is on the enemy team. Actually has some options, some playability. Plus, as you can see, PSG obviously targeting Knight over and over. Multiple ganks towards him, catching him in transition, constantly trying to burn the flash, take away resources from that Aurora, make sure it does not become a nightmare later on.
Is the one they're going to have to watch over these next few minutes. Still a while before the next Drake, and we saw Grubs exchanged for denying Knight a couple of waves in the bot side, so it's 3 Grubs apiece for both these teams, but a TP coming in by PSG. They know Knight has no flash. Wait in the darkness, in the tri-bush. Will Knight expect it? Maple here to catch the wave. On and Shun on their way across as well. You can see the ward placed there. Ginger and Woody looking for the invade towards the red buff. They are pushing mid, they are pushing bot. Betty here to join the battle. Maple gets the first move, can look for a flank here with the Fate Seal, dashes forward, unbinds his soul, On down to half HP. The Solar Flare goes in with a bullet time, and that's 2 locked up, and Woody's the first to fall. Maple was distracted by Knight. Betty dashing back in between worlds. Knight can look for more. Maple dives in with a Fate Seal, but BLG will happily take the triple for Elk.
And just like that, it crumbles in PSG's fingers. It almost turns to dust. A triple kill for Elk is huge. That almost brings them back to gold parity. Still a lead for PSG, but you have to be so careful when over chasing into the jungle like that, into so much AoE. The idea was there, but the execution was off.
Yeah, going into those tiny corridors is just perfect for the BLG composition, and PSG pay the price. Bin still relatively low, and Asha snuck in here, but there's so many members of BLG collapsing.
Shun cleared out the ward. See On his way up as well. TP coming in as PSG. Well, they're not going to do anything to help out Azure here. He's dead. Knight takes it. BLG will get the push in the top side, and that gold is even now.
And that was just good timing from BLG. You could look at the rest of the map, and PSG hadn't set up their waves to really be a threat anywhere. There's still slow push on bot side for Maple, and that wave disintegrated for Betty. So BLG getting time alone with this turret. Maybe in a position to match on towards this top our bot side play, but will still be first tower, I believe, for PSG.
No, I think BLG take it. They have
they
demolished,
will, yeah.
right? They have 3 people in the demolish from Bin. They should be able to take this one first. Maple trying to match, as you say, on the bottom side, but BLG with the TP in invests a lot to make sure they take the first turret. And it does give them that gold infusion that they were looking for.
Yeah, BLG, you can't make mistakes against them like that very frequently. They immediately take control on the map, offensively up to the top side, steal away the red buff in addition to that top tower, and just chaining the objectives here. This is well ahead of the timer for the Dragon too, so they can even match up for that as well.
You can see the flip on the MasterCard lane economy snapshot when it comes towards the gold, but PSG want to flip this objective as well.
Bin has no teleport, so the fact that Aja has walked here and BLG see Aja here, they should know, all right, fine, PSG, you have the numbers. We're just going to keep Bin splitting on bottom side. You can have a Rift Herald, which will at least be a nice takeaway.
Yeah, get more gold back for Bin, who is 24 CS down, as expected in a ranged into melee matchup in the top lane that was left to its own devices, but he's only about 250 gold out of pocket right now. Woody looking towards top lane though. Knight does have that between worlds and Flash. Probably about 10 seconds away from coming off cooldown. He'll respect it and back away. Because of that, PSG should just be able to secure the tower. Knight might come back though. Wonder, is he gonna say, they don't have vision. He's just waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I think he expected it. On had reset, Shun had reset, and then actually started to shift kind of over towards mid to cover that mid lane play. So it's a nice read from PSG. And Knight just not wanting to give over that little bit. They'll just stick in the bush and pick up this wave as it crashes. But look at the quick move. Rift Herald and Toe, they're going to try and crack mid lane for this as PSG.
The Drake up. You can see Aja's actually crept through the darkness in that bot side jungle to apply a bit of pressure with the flank. He'll catch out Shun, who goes the clone. The Rift Herald did get a charge down. Can't quite take the tower, but it does get mid prio for PSG. There's a second Drake if they decide that is their priority.
Maple has TP, Knight doesn't, so Maple kind of hiding out, seeing if he can wait until Knight